Next week we have our summer series consists of 13 classes. Next week we're going to be talking about Take a Kid Fishing. We got other topics coming. Of course, it's summertime, so we get a lot of fishing, some cat fishing, some trout fishing. We're also doing some firearm maintenance, getting into archery, some bear hunting and bear biology, and rifle basics. And we're going to wrap up our summer series at the end of August with the Minnesota State Fair, the great get together. So hope everybody can join us for a few more of these. And I think with that, Ray, we just started the recording, so we will turn it over to you and get going.
Awesome. Thanks, Benji. Appreciate it. Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Hi, hola, everyone. Welcome. Bienvenidos. My name is Ray Ruiz. I'm a fishing and hunting skills liaison with the Department of Natural Resources. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us today. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to talk about monsters today. Uh, it's going to be pretty cool. So stay with us, please. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat area. Benji, who was just doing the introduction, he'll be getting those questions, try to get those questions answered for you. So no matter how simple or complicated the question, please ask. This is the time to ask all the experts, Benji, Mr. Jeff Letterman, who's going to be joining me as well, myself. We have a great staff, very knowledgeable staff. So please take advantage of that and ask a lot of questions. That's how all of us got here. We ask a lot of questions. So with that said, I want to start off with the pictures that you see in front of you, starting with this very nice young lady at the left. Her name's Tiffany Solano. She was fishing with me on opener, and she caught her first muskie. Now I'm going to show you folks what she caught it on real quick, and you're not going to believe me, but she caught it on this bait right here. This is this is. I'm going to put my thumb so you guys can see. See that? My finger. Look at that. It's a countdown 3. It's a little bait. She caught it on this. That is I believe that's a 34-inch muskie right around there. And we're actually crappie fishing. We're not targeting muskies, obviously, because it's not an open season for them. So we're catching bass and crappies. We were catching some nice crappies, and next thing you know, she lands that muskie. The one in the middle that's myself. That was a 49-inch muskie on Lake Minnetonka. Tiffany's was also on Lake Minnetonka. And the one over on the right, that is one of our fisheries folks, one of our fisheries staff. And I'm sure that was in a metro lake somewhere, but I'm not exactly sure which one. So, yeah. So if you don't believe in monsters, we can definitely make you a believer with what's in front of you here. So let's get into it. All right.
Hey, Ray, we should mention that Terrion wasn't able to join us for anyone who was looking for him, but I haven't caught as big a fish as that last one that you just showed, but I've caught a few, so hopefully I can add a little bit of information.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, he wasn't able to join us, unfortunately. And maybe next time in the future, maybe we can get him back for a fall Metro Muskie or something like that. Because these guys, I mean, he specifically Terrion, he fishes all through the winter, like late fall, early winter. So thank you for that, Jeff. So I just want to go over some muskie facts for a lot of you guys a lot of folks out there that are familiar with muskies or are not. These are just some of the things that I really like to really look at all the time, just to be fundamentally sound when it comes to chasing these critters around, these very large predators. So muskies are in the pike fish family. They are an apex predator, which means they are at the top of the food chain. The only other predator they have are humans. That's it. They're at the very top of the food chain. The average lifespan of a muskie is between 20 and 26 years. And I'm sure there's probably older ones, but again, that's something that we can maybe later on talk with one of our scientists about. But I can't believe they live that long, but it's pretty cool. Jeff is going to talk a little bit about this next bullet. Jeff, you want to talk a little bit about this next slide, or excuse me, next bullet?
Yeah, thanks, Ray. As you mentioned, muskies are part of the pike family. So northerns are also the other members of Minnesota of that family. So they are really similar in shape and life cycles and food that they eat. And the easiest way that I've found to explain the difference is that Northerns typically have a dark colored, usually greenish colored background with white spots, like kidney bean shaped white spots. Muskies, on the other hand, have the light background with the darker spots or stripes. Now, not all muskies have spots necessarily, but that's kind of the easiest way. Northerns tend to have more rounded fins, but that's a little bit harder to tell the difference. But if you go to our regulations, the DNR fishing regulations book, it has some really great photos and explains the key part, or the definitive way to tell the difference is the number of pores that they have on the bottom of their jaw. If you flip the fish over and look at their jaw pores, muskies have 6 or more on each side, and Northerns have 5 or less. So that's kind of the key. But the color thing that I went over is probably the easiest way.
Sure. Thank you so much, Jeff. Continuing on some of these facts, muskies prefer shallow water when they live in lakes. When it comes to rivers, they like a little bit deeper water. And this was always something that I thought was really cool. This last bullet: female muskies grow much larger than male muskies, which I always thought that was really cool. Again, continuing on the muskie facts, muskies always spawn mid to late spring. So there might be still muskies out there spawning now. Muskies will always spawn on the new moon or on the full moon, like most other fish. A really interesting thing about the spawning ritual is that muskies do not make nests for their eggs. And after they're done, neither the male or female muskie take care of the eggs once they're laid, which is really interesting because most other species of fish stay with the fry or stay with the small little fish to protect them, but muskies do not do that. They're known as I'm sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, muskies season starts for most of the state on Saturday, June 5th, and that's associated with the spawning that you just talked about, how they spawn later. They're one of the latest spawning fish in the spring of all of our fish. So we delay the start of the season until hopefully they're mostly done spawning in May and early June.
Yep, that's right. They are ambush predators. So you'll see them a lot of times and Jeff can talk about his story when he caught a muskie where he's reeling up I don't know if it was a walleye, Jeff, or a bluegill or something, and next thing you know, a muskie comes up and grabs him, grabs a fish you were reeling in. And again, that's an opportunist and an ambush predator. Saw an easy meal and just attacked it. So they're very good at doing that. Very good at doing that. And Jeff, I'll let you tell that story a little bit later if you want to share that with folks. Sure. Again, we were just talking about this when we were practicing. Muskies, they can eat prey up to 30 to 35% of their own body length, which is insane. If you quantify that, I mean, if you got a 30-pound muskie, think about that. Think about it. He could eat 10 pounds of something, a fish, 10-pound fish. Muskies die. Go ahead, Jeff. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. When we were going to get into the baits, and obviously you talked at previous seminars about match the hatch. So that's one of the challenging things with these big fish is you got to get potentially big bait. So that's a really important fact. But they can eat a lot at one time.
Absolutely. What the last part of the facts, we have one more slide for this, but muskies' diet is weird. It's simple, but it's weird. They eat mostly fish. However, they will eat frogs, ducklings, mice, small mammals, and birds. And you'll see them. It's very, sorry to say it, folks, but it's very violent. When I first moved to Minnesota, I was fishing, I think I was on Lake Minnetonka, and I saw a muskie take down baby ducks. And I don't mean to upset anybody, but if you're out there fishing, nature's just nature. It does its thing, and it's a circle of life. And prepare yourself for that when you're out there, because it is what's the word, Jeff?
I know they're really opportunistic.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Yeah, and it can be a little violent and hard to watch, right? So next slide here. The last slide on the muskie fact. So the world record muskie was caught in Wisconsin in 1949. Shout out to Benji from Wisconsin. I know you're proud of that, Benj. And all our folks that are watching from Wisconsin. It weighed 67 pounds, 8 ounces. That's insane. That's a very large fish. Here in Minnesota, our state record, the length was 57.25 inches. The girth was 25.5. It was caught on August 6th, 2018. Where? Lake Vermilion. in the St. Louis County by our angler, this gentleman here, that's why I put his picture up, Corey Kitzman from Davenport, Iowa. Now, Jeff is going to get into this a little bit more, but Corey, as a conservationist and a steward of conservation, put this fish back. So this fish still is alive and well in Lake Vermilion. And Jeff, talk to us a little bit about our catch and release program, please.
Yeah, so when you were just talking about how old muskies are and how long it takes for them to get to that size, 20 plus years potentially, we instituted at the DNR a catch and release record system just to help support that ethic and to let these big fish go. So a few years back we started catch and release records for northern pike, muskies, sturgeon, and flathead catfish. And as you said, Corey, he has the current record. You can apply if you catch a bigger fish. We have the application online. You can submit that. You do have to have the fish, a photo of it on a ruler, so we can document how large that fish is, and then a witness. So, and then our regular state record program, the information on that is on our website too. But the catch and killed, the largest muskie in Minnesota was 54 pounds, quite a while ago, I think, on Lake Winnie. So.
Oh my gosh, yep. Awesome. Thank you for that, Jeff. All right, so let's talk about habitat cover and structure for muskies, because I know this is really, really important. Before we get into that, I don't know if a lot of you folks know this, but muskie fishermen are very we are very superstitious, and I don't know where this came from. This is a long time ago, this folklore of it takes about 10,000 casts to catch a muskie. Now, the young lady, Tiffany Solano, who caught this muskie, it didn't take her 10,000 casts. It took her only a few because we were out there. It was early in the morning, and again, it was by accident. We were not targeting muskies. I want to make that clear. However, this fish saw an opportunity and caught swallowed that bait or attacked that bait. So I think it's true. It does maybe take 10,000, maybe. I don't know how long it's going to take until she catches another muskie. We'll see. You'll have to follow up with her after a few thousand casts. But it takes about 10,000, right, Jeff? Give or take. That's what they say.
Yeah, well, after advice, hopefully people can do that in less than 10,000.
I hope.
And we're lucky here in the metro, especially, that we have so many great lakes that have muskies that are with our DNR fisheries program. They're stocking. I live right by White Bear Lake, which is a real mecca for muskies, and you will catch them trying to catch other fish too. But if you target them, I think you can definitely do it in less than 10,000. They're an interesting fish. They're curious, so you will see them. That's one of the fun things about them is you may not always catch them, but you'll see them frequently. They'll follow up baits and stuff. And You'll probably talk more about that, but that makes it really exciting to see this huge fish.
Yes, it's terrifying because you think you're looking at a big log or a tree or something, and it's not. It's a muskie. I was with a buddy of mine fishing an opener on Saturday. I went with Tiffany on Sunday, and my buddy and I, we went to Abdel-Makasca, formerly known as Lake Calhoun, and we saw 10 northerns and like 5-6 muskies, shallow, between 2 to maybe 5 feet, so they're out there. And Jeff's right, like you'll see them, you'll definitely see them more than you'll catch them, which is very frustrating, but it's still very exciting. Your heart starts pumping when you see them. It's pretty cool.
So if I could add one thing on that, Ray, that was a really good point about seeing them, especially this time of the year. If the weather's calm, you can go out and see muskies. They're warming up, right? Because they're a little bit warmer water fish. So when this time of the year, when the lake water's cool, but the sun is out and there's not a lot of wind, they'll be up soaking up the rays. And that's a great time to scout and figure out where fish are at on the lake, because they'll still be associating with some of the structure you're going to talk about here. And they'll be in those spots a lot of times all year round. So it's a great time to scout for them.
And also they're, to Jeff's amplify his point further, they're spawning, so they're shallow. They spawn shallow, so you get the best of both worlds. So talking about habitat cover and structure, we're going to be targeting or looking for submerged vegetation, edges of submerged vegetation. And basically that's thick weeds, very heavy cover. That's what you want to look for. Lily pads, rock piles. I know on a little further north of here on Mille Lacs, there's a lot of shallow areas with rocky bottoms. That's perfect for muskie. In rivers, you're looking for the deeper like channel swings or deeper part of the channel, or also wing dams, transition areas where you go from like submerged vegetation to rocks or rocks to sand. That's what transition areas means, or points, main lake points. So we're going to be looking for those to try to hunt down these predators. Where do I start fishing muskies on any given lake? So I fish a lot of metro lakes, you guys, and I, by rule of thumb, I start on the northwest side because that's the side of the lake that it warms up the fastest because of the axis of the sun. The sun is going to hit that side of the lake the longest, so that is going to warm up. However, if you can, I like to look for rocks. So that's not necessarily always true. Okay. It is, but it's not. And what I mean by that is if there's, let's say you go to the south side of the lake and there's a lot of rocks, well, that's what I would fish, because those rocks, anybody's ever been in a sauna? What do they put in a sauna? Rocks. Why? To retain heat. So rocks retain heat. So if you find rocks and heavy cover, submerged vegetation, that water is probably going to be warmer than any other place in the lake. So I would start there. And again, submerged and immersion vegetation, like Jeff and I were talking about, or just in the previous slide, we're going to be fishing 2 to 10 foot. And to a lot of you, you might think that it's deep. 10 feet is deep. It's not very deep. Trust me, it's not. Early in the morning is good. Late in the evening is good. And you're always looking for little bait fish or little bluegills or anything, any signs of life, because where there's little fish, there's bigger fish. Jeff, you want to add anything on this slide?
I just was going to say, if you can find any of these in combination, like rocks with a couple of different types of weeds, that seems to be kind of the magic combination sometimes too. So finding multiple components of
Yep.
some of the structure in one spot makes it even better.
Yep, absolutely. And a lot of that, Jeff, is because that vegetation and the rock, they all absorb heat. And with photosynthesis, it even absorbs heat, radiates more heat, so it warms up that water. So that's a really good point. I want to just talk about, you guys, everyone here, about the remote control of your lives, which I'm talking about your cell phones. Use technology to your advantage. We all have phones. So when you get out on the water on any given lake, if you're shore fishing, download our DNR Lake Finder phone app. It's completely free. It provides you with depth contours, which basically tells you how deep the water is, where it goes from shallow to deep, from deep to shallow, where it stays really shallow. It also gives you other specifications like the different kind of fish species that are on that particular lake that you're on, boat landing and accessibility, fishing piers or docks. So when you're looking at your phone, you're like, oh, hey, that dock looks like it's on the north side of the lake. I'm going to make my way there. Really, really cool app. On this next slide, this is De Macasca. I'm going to write right here is the boat launch where my little mouse is. I'm circling it. And there's multiple docks here, you guys. So right here is one dock, which is on the southeast side of the lake. And again, all this information is in your hand. All you got to do is get your cell phone, download the app, and it's there for you. So, shore and dock fishing for muskies. That's how I started fishing for muskies when I was a young man. So let's talk about that. So now we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of the components and the nerdy stuff, that's why a lot of you guys came to our seminar. We appreciate that. So let's talk about this equipment here. So fishing equipment. So if you're a shore or dock angler, you're going to need a stout rod and reel, which is basically, that means you're going to need some horsepower. Okay. On top of that, you're going to need the power of the rod needs to be heavy or extra heavy. And what that means is how far there's a thing in fishing rods, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, but it's called a parabolic bend. On musky rods, there's not a whole lot of bend because those fish are so strong, so big, so powerful that you don't want a whole lot of bend in that. Action meaning how far what the action of the tip of the rod. If you grab the rod and it's really loose, That's not fast. You want something that's a little bit more stiff. That's what it means by fast. Gear in a reel, when you're talking about reels, you want a reel with a gear ratio from 6-6-1. And let's talk a little bit about that, Jeff, because some people are like, what is gear ratio, right? What is that? So gear ratio is pretty simple. So when you have your handle and you turn the handle, for one turn of the handle, your spool will turn, your line will turn, your spool will turn 6.6 times. Okay. So for one turn of the handle, okay, so if you have a reel that is a 6-6-1, meaning one turn equals that spool moving 6 times all the way around. If you have a 7-6, it'll move 7.6 times around with one turn. Okay. Why is that important? Well, you're going to need some good torque in order to pull those fish in. Very, very critical component of this setup when you're trying to get a very large fish. Think of like that reel like as a winch. You know, you're going to need a good winch to pull something heavy in. So that's what that gear ratio does for you. It gives you that extra power. So think of it as a winch. Okay.
So yeah, if you were going to want to get them, but as you mentioned, you may be fishing in heavy cover, and you want to get those fish up and out so they don't drag you down in the weeds, because they're much more likely to get off or into the rocks. So it's really critical to have that cranking power at that speed. Also, these are big fish; they can move really fast. So if you don't get reeling them in and they're coming towards you, they'll get slack and get right off.
Yep, and then you want to, for every turn, you're going to pull in, right, Jeff? When you turn your reel one time, I wish I could have brought a reel with me, but and a rod, but I'm in my basement. I put a hole in my roof here. But when you turn it, it brings in about 18 inches to 20 something inches of line for one turn. So that's what Jeff is talking about. These fish, when they hit something, they're going to go right into that vegetation, right, Jeff? They're going to go right back home. So you're going to be fighting a large fish. You're going to be fighting the force of that fish. You're going to be fighting the water, gravity, the vegetation. You're fighting all these things, you guys. That's a lot to fight. You're not just fighting the fish. You're fighting a lot of other components, a lot of other variables. So that gear ratio, that higher gear ratio, is going to be very, very, because trust me when I tell you, it's going to come in handy big time. So.
Can you mention, Ray, the action there? You had that fast action was really important. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so fast action. What you want in a rod, you want it to be stiff. You don't want it stiff like a telephone pole stiff, but you want it stiff enough where you can move that bait fast. That's what that means. Fast tip means you can move that bait fast. If the tip of your rod bends, that means you can't pull that bait. And just for an example, if you have a very soft tip, this right here is about 18 inches and it weighs almost a pound, this musky bait here. If you have a soft tip, you can't pull this. It's too soft.
Not enough backbone.
Correct. It's not enough backbone, and that tip is going to have too much give, and it's going to go like that. Now, if you have a fast tip, it's going to go. It's going to pull that thing. It's going to react right away. It's like,
yep, faster response. Yep.
Faster response, like having a fast car. You press the gas and it just goes. So that's what that fast tip means. And when you're musky fishing, you want that. Now there are moderate tips. You can play around with them, but I would suggest, as a rule of thumb, just get the action of the rod be fast, because you want to be able to move these baits. Next slide. So we're going to talk a little bit more about equipment. So you're going to need a tackle box. Now, Jeff, when it comes to musky fishing, what kind of
There's no box big enough.
There's no box big enough, right? Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You might have to bring like your
Friends of coolers.
Yeah, you might
Styrofoam coolers.
you might have to bring like your Craftsman toolbox to roll it out into the lake. These baits are enormous. I mean, this is, what do we say, about 18 inches, Jeff? And then we got like big spinner baits like this. I mean, so these are, look at it, that's enormous. So where do you want to put these? It's really important. You want to make sure that you have a large tackle box. Bobbers are the same way. Bobbers are going to be very large. Weights are going to be large. So make sure you have a tackle box that can handle it. You want heavy duty line. This is absolutely critical as well. Heavy duty line, 50 to 100 pound test, braid or monofilament. So on the box, this is a Power Pro, one of my favorite ones, and it has specifications. It'll tell you this is, I believe, 30, and it'll give you the diameter, it'll give you the pound test, it'll give you the yardage. So you can go to any store, a fishing store, or a place where they sell equipment for fishing, specifically for muskie, and get yourself some heavy duty line, either braid or monofilament. Now, braid has no stretch. It's braid. It's like fiber. It's braid, has no stretch. Monofilament has stretch, and sometimes that's a good thing, because if you have these fish that take off, that stretch helps. It really helps. So that's what I go with, either braid or monofilament for your line. And again, 50 to 100 pound test. You want a leader, which you can see here on the diagram. You'll see the leaders. Now, these leaders, I like fluorocarbon leaders because they're abrasion resistant. And when that fish, if it bites down, it grabs that line, it can't snap you off. However, if you have a thick fluorocarbon leader, 50 to 100 pound leader, that won't happen. You want heavy duty hooks, and you want live bait. So we're gonna be fishing. If we're fishing from a dock, Jeff, right, or fishing from shore, we're going to be using live bait. And the bottom right of the screen here, you'll see a big old sucker minnow, or big old sucker. This looks pretty big to me, Jeff. What do you think? That's 10 to 12 inch guy there. It's
Yeah,
pretty
something
large,
like that.
something like that. And they are not cheap, and they're pretty tough fish, but they're kind of hard to keep alive. So when you guys put them in your cooler, Jeff and I were talking before the show here, make sure you put ice in them. Keep them nice and cool, keep them in the shade, because it does stress out the fish, and you want that live bait to stay lively so you can catch a big muskie. Jeff, do you want to add anything on this slide?
I think you have some slides we'll get into how to use
Sure.
the live bait, because in the metro area, as you're saying, from shore, it's a really effective way. I know Terry on that's kind of the technique he uses a lot.
Yeah, yep, that's exactly. So how do I rig all these components? Well, lucky for a lot of us, or most of us, they're already, when you go to a store, to a muskie outfit store, or a fishing store where they sell these products, you don't really have to do a whole lot, because there's kits that are already come assembled, and which is awesome. They're called quick set rigs, and those quick set rigs are awesome. They come out the box, you stretch them out, you put them on your live bait, and that's pretty much it. I mean, it's not very hard to use. Jeff, do you want to talk a little bit about the history of the quick set rig for folks?
Yeah, I think it was about 10 years ago, or maybe older than that. You couldn't use these kind of rigs because there was concern about multiple hooks and how that would impact people's ability to catch multiple fish and stuff. But we changed that rule, I think, about 10 years ago. And so now these are legal as long as the total distance from the first hook to the up to 3 hooks is less than 9 inches. You can use these now. So, which makes sense, because I think in the ways with just a single hook, you ran the risk of suckers bait being swallowed, and the hook would get way down deep inside the fish, and it was really hard to get that hook out without endangering or potentially harming the fish. So having this quick strike allows you to do a quick hook and get a hook set that's probably won't be as damaging to the fish. So
Right.
yeah. So if you thought maybe in the past these were not allowed, they are now. So
Right.
check out our regulations. Oh, that's all. It has all the details.
It does. It definitely does. And if you have any questions, please email us as well. If for whatever reason, myself or Jeff or one of our experts, one of us doesn't have the answer, we can get you an answer. So next slide here. All right. So again, with the quick set rig, the previous one does not come with a bobber, but they do sell quick straight rigs with bobbers, so you can get with or without bobbers. And I just wanted to show an illustration so folks can see all the components or what they look like. So this is on this slide, you'll see a sucker minnow, and you'll see kind of like what it's supposed to look like right here. You have a treble hook right behind the head on the back, basically, of the fish, and one between its dorsal fin and its tail. very basic. A lot of this is very standard, but certain musky anglers are very particular. They don't like bobbers. Some do like bobbers, some don't. I personally, I like bobbers because it definitely indicates when you have a bite. That's what I like. So, but again, that's my preference. If you don't like a bobber, you don't have to use it. So either one of them is correct. It's just how you go about setting up your own system is, and it's a very simple system. There's nothing really hard about it. So this is a closer look at the rig here, at the quick set rig. So as you can see at the bottom right, you'll see the V, and you'll see what I grew up calling them like stinger hooks. So it's an extension, and they're on both sides of this sucker minnow, and they sell them just like this in a package. I don't believe they sell them with the weights, Jeff. I think you have to buy these weights separately.
Yeah, I
But
think so. And we would call this a harness, I think, sometimes too, as
yes,
people might
yep,
refer to it that way.
yep,
And it's a little different with the hooks, one on each side. And I think the purpose of that is northerns and muskies will attack their fish grab those bait from the side and stun it, and then they turn it in their mouth. So if you got those hooks on the side, you can potentially get a really good hook set right on the initial strike.
correct. As far as the weight is concerned, you definitely want to be conscious of staying away from lead. We at the DNR, we use everything is lead free, everything is green friendly. So when you go to your retailer and you buy, or you're trying to buy these weights, there's a particular this particular weight is a clam, what they call a clam rubber weight. It's basically like a little clam. You just press it down, and it holds the line, it'll hold that line in place so that way it doesn't slide. And that's all you really need. But make sure when you go there, make sure it's lead free. You can get tungsten. There's alternative weights that you can purchase. So I would encourage everyone to please do that to protect our natural resources. Jeff, you want to add anything to that?
Just, musky fishing, it's easy for the line potentially get cut, and a rig like this can get float off, or the minnow can swim off, and a loon can eat a 10 to 12 inch sucker minnow.
Mm-hmm.
And and if it includes the sinker that's got lead in it, you could end up with a loon with lead poisoning. So that's why we want to look at the options, and really there's a lot of them on the market.
Correct. All right, so here's where it gets really fun. When you go musky fishing, you're gonna need a very, like they say, what's that line in Jaws, Jeff? We're gonna need a bigger boat.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, if you go musky fishing in the metro or anywhere, you're gonna need a bigger net. If you have a net now, don't bring that net. It'll get trashed. Leave it at home. Just get a bigger net, because trust me when I tell you, it's you're gonna need it. And when I say big, as big as you can, if you can put yourself in it, that's good. This particular net, this is called a cradle net, and this is the kind of nets that are the best for muskie. However, the downside to them, they're a little expensive. The one on the bottom, the one on the right, has an indicator for inches on the on the handles. So those are pretty cool. You can kind of tell this is a 40 something inch muskie, 50 something inch muskie. But the cool thing about this, you can keep the fish in the water. It doesn't hurt itself, because when you catch a muskie, these things are violent. They're very dangerous. They're extremely strong. They're thrashing everywhere. I mean, it's insane how powerful these fish are. And if you have a harness or a nice net, you can keep that fish in the water for as long as possible. And that's what you want, because you have to remove the hook, and it's going to really stress the fish out. Right, Jeff? You want to add a little bit to that?
Yeah, so this is safer for the fish, reducing that stress, keeping them in the water as long as possible, and safer for the angler, right? To get those hooks out of there. You try to pick up a fish with those big hooks that we've been showing, and the number of hooks and treble hooks, it's very dangerous, because as Ray said, they're big and powerful. And the fun thing muskie fishing is they are so dynamic. They'll fight really hard. Usually it's a battle. They'll give it all for as long as they can, for several seconds. So yeah, you be careful.
It's crazy. All right. So I'm going to share with you guys my setup, my personal setup that I have on my boat. And when if I'm not on my boat, when I go shore fishing, this is my go-to rig. So I have for my rod is a Shimano 711, 7 feet, 11 inches. It's it's a Shimano Crucial Flip Stick, which is more like a swim bait rod. And the rod power is heavy. Okay. The action is really fast, like we were talking about on the other slides. And I pair it with a Shimano Curado 201 E7. And again, we were talking about gear ratios. This has a pretty good and pretty fast gear ratio. So when I hook those fish, when I set that hook and they take off on me, I can keep up with them with that high gear ratio. And I have enough torque to pull that, enough power to pull those fish in. And again, the last component is my line, 65 to 100 pound Power Pro braid. And I use the 8 slick, which has like eight strands versus the 4 strands. That's something that we can get into later on. But if my recommendation is to get the 8 strand, it's just way tougher. That's why I stopped using a leader too. I still use a leader on occasion. I use a fluorocarbon leader, but for the most part, sometimes I don't. You know, I feel like I get better action on the baits without the leader. But again, that's just my opinion. That's just how I fish. And again, this is just this kind of like my setup and the standards that we were talking about here. But just kind of give you guys an idea of what's in my equipment, what I carry on me when I go fishing.
Yeah, those leaders, there's a trade-off there, right? I mean,
Yeah.
these fish see a lot of baits all summer long, and so
Yeah.
if you can get an advantage by not having a leader, you might be more likely to get bit, but then you have a little bit of chance you get bit off, right? But those are the trade-offs. But that's a good point about potentially not using them. There's some real basic baits that Ray uses. He's going to talk about crankbaits here.
Yeah, so I'm going to start with this guy here. This is more like a wake bait. It's and we call this is just like a split crankbait where it has like a nice swimming action. This is an enormous bait. This is about 12 to 14 inches right around there. It's very, very large. This is also a very large crankbait, like a jerk bait. So you can kind of see what we're talking about. And they're large, very large baits. Let's see what else I have here. So I really like these baits. So I'll be using something like this right now, or either this. So this is the same bait, and how you can tell the difference. Jeff, you want to talk to folks about like crankbaits and like the lip is very important when it comes to crankbaits.
Yeah, I mean they're numbered. The manufacturers, their models, they have all these numbers about how deep they dive depending on the number. But the easiest way to tell is looking at the lip. So the bigger the bill or the lip, the deeper usually they're going to dive. They can catch more resistance and they'll dive down deeper. But Ray, why do you have small? I mean, why do you use smaller ones at the beginning of the summer here?
Yeah, we were talking about matching the hatch earlier, Jeff, and it's important because everyone thinks that Tiffany, she proved that you can catch a nice muskie with a small bait. And I mean, compared to a lot of these other baits, well, basically, Jeff, to answer the question, right now everything is small in the ecosystem, right? Everything is hatching.
Early in the growing season.
Everything is the grass still growing, but like look at the difference in size in this bait. I mean, look, it's ridiculous. Look at that. She caught it on this little guy right here. And normally everyone wants to throw this or wants to throw this guy. But so is it true that you can catch big muskies on small baits? Yes. Can you catch them on large baits? Yes. Okay, you catch them on both. But there's no bait fish, Jeff, that are this big right now. Right? So
yeah. So generally, a general rule, fall, generally larger baits are more effective in the fall because the fish have grown up and also the bait fish are growing up, but the muskies are looking to really pack on the weight in the fall too. So they want the easiest meal, right? The best way to get those calories. So they're really searching for the big fish and the big bait in the fall too.
Here's another one. We have double-bladed spinner baits. So you have the single on the bottom left, which is really good. It definitely puts out some vibration.
That's your traditional bucktail that people hear about.
This is it right here, your traditional bucktail. However, the ones on the top right, those are your double, they call them double bladed, double cowgirls, and those put out a tremendous amount of a vibration, and muskies just hammer those things. The last is the top water at the top right. That's Man's. That's a wake bait. It's similar to this. This is a little bit of a wake bait. You can tell the angle of the lip. So this is more of a surface bait, believe it or not. So I'll throw a lot of surface baits, walk the dog and frogs, right, Jeff? I mean, how many muskies have you caught on the frog? A few?
A few, yeah. It's a fun way to fish for muskies, that's for sure. Northerns will occasionally take a topwater lure or bait, but muskies for sure really they will definitely go after topwater,
And
just like bass.
absolutely. And the last one is the jitterbug. That's one of my secret baits too that I throw a lot for muskies, and it works very, very well. Another favorite technique of mine in presentation are these baits, the swim baits. So you can rig them. You can use the quick set rig, as you can see on the bottom left. You can set them up yourself, or you can just buy them already made, like this one. The bottom right is just your basic swim bait. That's looks like a bluegill or perch pattern there with a big old hook on it, and that's it. As far as how you work these, you literally launch them out there, and there's really no wrong way to work these baits. You can swim them back. This tail will turn like it'll just go crazy. You can jerk it, you can pull it, you can swim it. There's no wrong way to fish these baits. Not at all. So it's
So mostly I'd say they're neutrally buoyant, right? Meaning they kind of don't float or sink, but there's some that have extra weights, or you can add weights, right? If you want to run deeper.
you can. They're on the belly. You can take the weight is loaded in the front of the bait. And a lot of times, a lot of guys, what we'll do is we'll cut this, open it up, and then either put more non-lead weight in it, or put more tungsten weight in the bait. There are stickers of weight you can put on there for more weight, so you can launch it faster. But I like them right out of the package. You can modify them a little bit, and you could also put weights on the shank of the hook too. I've seen guys do that on both, just to get more distance and get it down more. You can do that too. So, and you can also use this little guy too, a spoon. That's always really good to use. A lot of us use this one. So,
Ray, as long as we're talking about baits, there was a question that came in about crankbaits and figuring out how deep they will dive. You want to talk a little bit more about the numbering or the depth of different
yes,
crankbaits?
absolutely. So different manufacturers will have like they'll have on the packaging, like they'll say DT is dive 2, DT4, DT6, dives to 4 feet, dives to 6 feet, dives to 10 feet. So you also have to understand that like the bait will do that. However, let's just say you take a DT6 and you're running 50-pound or 80-pound monofilament. Monofilament floats, and it's going to keep that bait up because it's a lot of drag. So it's not going to go 6 feet because the bait is being pulled by a really thick line. So it's going to make that bait rise up. And maybe that's what you're going to want to do to keep it on top of the weeds. And that's some of the things that a lot of fishermen do, a lot of anglers do. They'll manipulate, not the bait, the line. They'll use different lines to get that bait either down or up. The lesser diameter, the less resistance, that bait will go down. The thicker the line, the more it'll ride up. Okay. And that's something really important when it comes to muskie fishing. You're going to be fishing shallow, so I recommend just use the heaviest line you can.
And where you position your rod tip can make a difference too. If you have the rod tip up high, you're going to keep the lure up high. If you put it down in the water or even in the water, you're going to get a little more depth too.
Absolutely. Yep, that's true. That's very, very true. All right, let's go with some Q&A here, and I'm gonna kick it over to Benj. Benj, take it away.
Yeah, great job, guys. It was awesome. I was telling them during the practice session, I'm just gonna try some muskie fish. I do a lot of fly fishing and came across a fly rod, muskie rod this summer. So I like how you reference the different line depths. We do the same thing in fly fishing, a weighted line or a floating line and whatnot. So That's kind of cool. Looking forward to getting out in the water this weekend for sure.
Mhm.
One question from Jed. Ray, you showed, kind of back when you were talking about the equipment and stuff, some of the weights, and I forget what you call them, but with the rubber in the middle.
Oh, it looks like a little clam, so they call them clam
Yeah.
weights. Yeah.
Clam weights. He was wondering how far you put those up on your line away from the bait fish.
That's a really good question. So if you're not using a bobber, you can go. You can go like maybe, let's see. I'm trying to see how I would do it. You can go about 18, 22 inches from the bait, maybe more. Like you can. You want that sucker minnow to have that autonomy to be able to move around in the water, and it'll drag that weight around. So you don't want a really heavy weight, but you don't want something that it can just like take off. You know what I mean? You want just enough, and you have to experiment. So you have to match the weight to the sucker minnow too. That's a big. That's just kind of like trying on like test driving a car, putting on a pair of shoes. Like, how does it feel? Is that minnow dragging your bait across across the lake? And that does happen, man. I've seen a guy like, oh man, my bait's like 150 yards down because he didn't have enough weight.
So
And
that's
you'll see.
Wisconsin sucker minnow. We get them stronger over here.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're gonna test those sucker minnows for. We're gonna do blood tests on those sucker minnows. I think they may be taking PEDs or something.
Yeah, so if
So
anybody
that-
has any questions out there, feel free to shoot them either in the chat or in the Q&A. That would be great. I had another question on the leaders. I know when we used to fish Mississippi River when I was a kid all the time, and I was always a steel leader.
Yeah,
Do you still use steel leaders much, or is it mainly gone to the monofilament?
mono's really good. What a lot of musky guys are doing now, they really like that fluorocarbon, and again, that's because of the cost. And what they found is that the steel leaders were good. They're still good, but you want like a titanium alloy, which is like lighter, so it doesn't drag that bait down. And that's what mono does. Excuse me, mono actually keeps the bait up. Fluorocarbon is a little heavier, but that's what I see a lot of guys using these days, just fluorocarbon leaders. But
I think it depends a little bit on what kind of bait you're using too. I mean, if you're using a clanky metal with the blades of a spinner bait or an inline spinner, having a steel leader is probably just fine. But if you're using a swim bait, what's more active, more natural looking,
subtle,
and
subtle.
you don't want it being dragged down, like Ray said, you probably would want to stay away from steel.
Yeah.
How about, this is another good question. Again, most of my fishing especially when I was younger, was trolling. Fish in the river. We trolled for a lot of northerns and everything. Do you guys ever troll for muskies?
Yeah.
Like he was asking that. Trolling for muskies, or do you mainly cast?
No, a lot of people. I like on Minnetonka. That's what the guys and gals do out there.
It can be really successful.
Yeah.
I enjoy casting until my arm gets sore or my back gets sore, but because you get to see the fish. When you're trawling, you don't necessarily see the follows and near misses, but when you're casting, you can bring them right up to the boat. A lot of times they'll follow. They're really interesting, curious fish, so that makes it a little more fun that way. But I know trolling is really successful. There's no doubt about it.
You cover a lot of water. So that's why the chances of you hooking into a fish are greater because you're covering so much water.
Any tips on the speed for trolling or reeling in bait?
Yeah, I mean the standard is always going to be 2 to 3 miles an hour, right around there. So
Yeah.
And for retrieving on casting, I hate to say it depends, but try different things. I know Ray has talked about if there's 2 people on the boat, do different stuff. So you find the thing that's really working. Is it's faster? Is it slower? I was fishing up in Lake of the Woods for muskies, and we were using little blades. So and high gear ratio bait casters and with bucktails, we couldn't crank it in fast enough. The faster you could go move that bait, the more like you were to get bit. So just experiment until you find something that's working.
right. One thing that I will tell folks out there is what I found a lot of success in my fishing career, and I preach this a lot to a lot of when I teach seminars or if I'm in tournaments, is if I'm using any kind of is crankbait, swim bait, jerk bait, when that bait is going and it stops, that's when you're going to get a strike. I mean, it's 9 times out of 10. The reason why, you guys, is because that fish is tracking that bait. And if you stop it, you can only do two things. It's either going to eat it or it's going to go away. So you have 50-50 chances. And if I told you you have 50% chance to win the lottery or 50% chance of catching a 50+ muskie, you'd like those odds. But a lot of folks will just reel it in, and that's fine. There's no wrong way. But I highly recommend if you're throwing any kind of moving bait to stop it. Just in your retrieve, you're retrieving, and you just stop. And then keep going. That pause, I'm telling you, man, that pause is, they just hammer it. They hammer it. Because they have no other choice. A lot of times, how many times have we seen muskies track baits all the way to the boat, Jeff? Happens all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, that doing something different, change of direction is another thing.
Yep.
Trying to get a different angle or get the bait to move a different way. And we haven't talked about figure eights. When you have
Yep.
follows is a really successful method that when you come up to the lure up, leave a foot or two of extra line at the end of your rod tip and stick that rod tip in the water and actually have your bait do a figure eight. And those changes of directions oftentimes will trigger the muskie. He's been following that bait, and I was like, oh, it's going to try to get away, or it acted differently. It's injured. I'll hit it. So yeah, try that too.
One of the if I want to share something, do we have any questions, Benj?
Yeah, I got one more. It's
Yeah.
kind of an interesting one. I like it because I get a lot of buddies from out Montana and Colorado that can't believe we chase these freshwater sharks here in Minnesota and we go after them. But how do you safely hold a muskie? They got all those teeth in there. How do you get them up out of the water and get your hooks removed out of them? You use a pliers or a long tool or?
Yeah, that's a great question. So number one thing is try to keep the fish in the water. And that's where that cradle net comes in. So that fish is in that cradle net. One person is holding that cradle net. The other person has what they call jaw spreaders. I'll do it with my face. I didn't want to do it. So you put it and you just open it up. It's like it does this. Opens up the mouth, and you want to use large pliers. You want to use 12-inch pliers.
Needle nose
pliers, and you get that bait out safely while the fish is still in the water. That's the best way to do it. There are times where if you don't have a net, you're going to have to land that fish, and that's where the violence starts, because that fish touches something dry and it freaks out, man. It just starts going crazy. They don't do that when you leave them in the water. They don't freak out that much, a little bit, but as soon as they feel something different, that's when they start thrashing in your boat, and your boat will be trashed and full of slime. I don't recommend you doing that.
Another important point, there's been a lot of research showing that it's really critical with these big fish, whether it's a muskie or northern, even bass, to hold them horizontal, not vertically, because that puts too much stress on their backbones and then their lumbar, on their spine. They're not used to that. They're always in the water. The water is supporting them. So their spine is not made to be held like that. So always hold them horizontal, and which in the case of a really big muskie, you saw some of the photos that Ray had earlier, those big fish, you literally need to cradle them, right? Pretty much hug them. That's really the only way to safely hold them. Sometimes you can put one hand up in the jaw, on the underside of the jaw, but you run the risk of hitting the gill rakers or even teeth if you don't know what you're doing. That's really, usually want to keep your hand away from their mouth.
Yeah.
That's great. I know we're running real close to out of time here. So next week we got a great presentation coming up on Take a Kid Fishing Weekend. That'll be in 2 weeks from now. We got Muskie Opener this weekend. So you guys did a fantastic job on this. So I look forward to the next one. And any last comments? Muskie Opener on Saturday. I know Ray's not going to give his hotspot away, but we got 30, 40 new people on here that are interested in muskie fishing next weekend. Any
Yeah.
tips on successful lakes in the metro area that you'd
Yeah.
say, hey, go here, go target?
Yes. I would go to Demacasca, right in Uptown. Go have breakfast in a restaurant around there. Or go in the morning, then go have lunch somewhere in Uptown. You're right down the street. Lake Harriet is a good one. Nokomis. Those three lakes are loaded with muskies. The cool thing about that lake too is if you guys have family, if you're with your partners or with your kids, if they don't like to fish, they don't like going fishing. That's fine. You can fish with somebody, and they can go out and rent a paddle boats. They can get on. There's so
bike.
much to do out there. Yes, yes.
We, I was
Go
just going
ahead,
to say on the East Metro, we've got some really great lakes that have been actually tiger muskies, which are a hybrid of northerns and muskies that the DNR has stocked. So Lake Fallon, Josephine in Roseville,
Yep.
and then if you have a boat, there's some really great musky lakes in this area: Bald Eagle, White Bear Lake, Forest Lake, and then of course the rivers. Both the Mississippi and the St. Croix have really great populations of muskies. So right by your house, Benji.
Yeah, right by your house.
Yeah. A lot of that information is found on the DNR website. Also, both the Learn to Fish pages and then the Lake Finder that Ray was talking about earlier has some of the stocking reports and whatnot on them too. So.
Benj, one more thing I wanted to add. So for a lot of folks, musky fishing can be just going to be transparent and honest, or it's one of probably a little bit more spendy because of the gear you have to use. I would highly encourage you to try to have stout equipment. And here's why. There's a lot of times where you're going to be fishing, you're not targeting muskies and you're going to hook into one. You have a minnow out there, they'll hit it. When you have a light line, you're going to be fighting that fish for a half hour. It's going to be completely exhausted by the time you land it. And you're going to remove the hook. And when you're trying to revive it, it's in shallow water, which sometimes has dissolved oxygen, and it could put a tremendous amount of stress on that fish, as opposed to having a stout rod and reel where you can, for lack of a better term, horse that fish in, get them in, get her in, because it's mostly going to be a female, especially if it's a large fish, and get her back out in the water. So I want everyone to really understand that the more that fish fights, yeah, it's fun, but it's exhausted. And then you're going to put them in her in dissolved water. It's not a good thing. So please, please, please be conscious of that and protect our natural resources and have a lot of fun doing it.
Well, thank you everybody for attending. Guys, great job doing that today. We're out of time, so we're going to bump back into the
awesome
room,
thank you everyone
here.
Yes.
We'll talk to everybody soon. See you next week, everyone.
Thank you.